everybody's going towards electrification. Toyota and its new CEO, let me get this right, Koji Sato, have chosen a different path. And that path is hydrogen.
Ooh, okay. Go on.
So, originally the previous CEO, Akio Toyoda, was kind of like slowly introducing like electrification or hybrids or other forms of alternate fuels, and one of them being hydrogen. So the shareholders wanted to focus more on the electrification, because electrification is a buzzword, okay, if we electrify it, that's more clean, and this is the way forward for everybody. However, I mean, there's a lot of issues when it comes to electrification, and it might just not be for everybody. And a lot of times the people are turned off by the fact that it takes so long to charge a car or like to refuel.
Yeah.
And it might not be for everybody. So Toyota's new CEO, Koji, or Mr. Sato, is proposing to have hydrogen be another alternative to the problem of renewable fuels or environmentally friendly fuels, because hydrogen is only byproduct is water, actually, H2O.
I wonder. Okay, so I had a couple questions. You brought this up, and I was like, there's a couple of questions that I did have about this. So how would this, I guess, mainly work? Like, how would you, like, did it explain anything about like charging or
for the
hydrogen? Yeah, for the
so
hydrogen.
they are going to be investing in a hydrogen like refueling network. So it'd be like imagine you go to your gas station, but instead of gas, it's hydrogen. There's like gasoline, diesel, hydrogen. And then you go in and you just get the hydrogen pump and you put in your car, and then bada bing, bada boom, you're out and on your way.
Yeah.
It should take about the same time to refuel a hydrogen car as like an electric car.
I actually don't think that that's too wild, because like we've seen the changing landscape of EVs and the investments that were done to EVs with charging stations and charging networks. So I actually don't think that's too far off of like if they were to make these stations, because now more than ever it's easily more accessible to find as an example, like electric cars, they have like maps built in with locations on
where to find the chargers.
Yeah.
The issue is in the immediate vicinity of where I live, like the Silicon Valley is pretty adoptive in terms of like electric cars, etc. However, I think there's only one or two places to refuel your hydrogen vehicle in the Bay Area, which would be potentially like one of the testing spots of where you'd want your hot new topic or hot new car to be. So that, I think, is the issue, is where how do you store the hydrogen is it going to be a special, like how would gas stations pick it up? And will the like gas companies or like the Shells, the Chevrons, the Arcos, the whatever else, will they go and pick up, hydrogen as like a thing to have them come in? Like,
yeah, okay, so I want to say that it's
you're a big coal guy, huh?
Bring
back steam.
Oh my God.
Steam travel.
Hey, let me tell you.
It's coming back clean coal.
Oh my God, no! I did want to say that it's what I think. I think that it's hard, because I think it needs to be mass market adopted by multiple companies, because it's like I from what I probably can think that would happen is that like you mentioned Shell. I don't think Shell would invest into it unless there's a lot of cars that are
going towards it.
Yes, are going towards it. I mean, a lot of cars are going EV.
That's true.
I know. I think in California in general, they want all
But
cars to be
then
like EVs at some point, or at least hybrids.
think about
Um,
it this way, though. Shell and those types of companies that have gas stations or like a resource that you need to purchase, they need the stations. But if you're buying like EV or electric stuff, it's like, where does it come from? It comes from the power grid.
yeah,
So that you're paying for the service of having the power grid feed your station. How does like Shell directly power that station? Like they sell a product, and the product is gasoline
yeah,
and oil. But like if they just change it to they start producing hydrogen and like push towards hydrogen as being like this is going to be it. I think they could do it because like once they I feel like the fact that there aren't like hydrogen like locations everywhere like is a big issue where how would we know? Or like I think if you get like one of the big oil manufacturers to like jump in, like okay, we
yeah,
need to like come up with something to keep people like buying our stuff, like our hydrogen is better, it has whatever, and it's like okay, I mean it doesn't matter.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like you know,
The
they need a
yeah,
product to sell. Like if
they
oil
do.
is out of fashion, hydrogen could be it for them.
You know, it's so crazy. It's like I don't disagree with this. I'm not against hydrogen, by the way. I just want to say
You're
that. I'm for big oil. No,
but
no, no. I'm not for big oil.
you could be for a
but
price.
yeah, but I could be. Your logo here. No,
I was
no, no,
kidding.
no. I wanted to say that I think that could be a great idea. I think that having a company diversify and invest into different sources because
Yes.
like mentioned, eventually oil is gonna. I think it's gonna go away, and I think like a lot of cars are gonna go to
Something
electric,
else.
yeah, or something else, yeah.
Mm.
And I think that a lot of people, we're seeing the change now. There's a lot of electric
Hmm.
cars that are coming out. Literally almost every car manufacturer now is trying to push their electric car.
I
um
think one thing that they could do is like the perception is that EVs are clean. However, battery manufacturing and the power grid aren't exactly the most clean things.
yeah,
So if hydrogen could like market itself as like the cleaner option, then that could be it for them. Like that could push those people who were skeptical of it to go and switch to hydrogen. Because one thing that's an issue with electric vehicles is the battery themselves. Because if
yeah,
the battery goes bad, then your vehicle is worthless. Like imagine your phone is like, oh, my phone dies so quickly. Like your Apple iPhone, like, oh man, I put it in there, like it doesn't even hold a charge all day. You know, like
it's
needs a
usually the most expensive thing to
yeah,
replace.
it's the
Yeah,
most expensive thing, and then you have to replace the battery. Like, but if the
it's
hydrogen thing can like rectify that issue, then you're like, well, you know, maybe that's more in line with how people consume like fuels or whatever. You know, I like it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's the positioning and how they market themselves
Hmm.
that could really help and push them over the edge. I do agree with that.
I think it's
I
the getting bigger corporations to like buy into the idea that like if Toyo's the one pushing only for like this is a Toyota station,
Yeah,
nobody's gonna do it. If they say like okay, they license it out to like Shell, Chevron, other things like BP or something,
yeah,
and it's like okay, you guys can make this and like you can sell whatever.
hmm,
We're producing the cars, like they'll show up.
yeah. I think it's
I
yeah.
think like oil money is a lot. Like okay, you
Hey,
know, they
hey.
start producing like oh you know you don't even have to pump it out of the ground. You just get it. It's like
Oh
oh
my
okay,
god. I think it's
sell for
yeah.
the same price as
I
gasoline.
yeah, and I would say like to be honest, if this was more than a few years ago,
Mm.
if this was like 20 years ago, I would say I'd be skeptical. I'd be skeptical on a
Skeptical
new energy, like of a
of
new.
electric and hydrogen or just in general.
I think hydrogen because I
Mm.
would be skeptical of hydrogen because um I would be skeptical of hydrogen because it's hard for like we've seen how big and how developed electric cars are getting.
It's true. Yes.
So if we didn't have electric and it was just hydrogen before,
Mm.
I would be like, oh, it's like it's a hydrogen car. It's like it's gonna be hard
Yeah.
for them. But now that we've seen how quickly things move and how
Hmm.
quickly things develop, it's a very easy it's a very easy future to see hydrogen being in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just my two cents on it.
Yeah, I think
That
you beat the nail on the head. I think like yeah, the whole market needs to be approached in a more aggressive fashion. If you want hydrogen to take over, then they need to be more aggressive with their marketing, more aggressive with the adoption of like having other companies buy into the idea of hydrogen. And then if you're the only place that has hydrogen things and there's a bunch of hydrogen stations, and then all of a sudden like your neighbor has a hydrogen car, and then
you
then it's easy.
you know what? I even just getting outside the scope of electric or just consumer vehicles and going into like more commercial vehicles.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I
yes.
think that it's good. It would be great. Like let's say that you have positioned hydrogen stations across the US and you could sell it cheaper than electric or gas.
Yeah.
And
Or it's
because
quicker to transition over.
yeah, and because there might be a bigger supply since not a lot of people have tapped into it.
Yeah, you just make
So
it from nothing.
yeah, so it would be beneficial and it would be a good selling point. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. You could take a lot of different aspects of all of this to do. Um okay, I think I th-
Yeah.